Reaction from some of the Texas delegation was strictly partisan. Brian Burns spoke with Houston area Congressman Kevin Brady during a gathering at the port. Brian.
Well, Rudy, Congressman Brady from Conroe joined other dignitaries this morning at the Port of Corpus Christi for the kickoff of their improvement project. Following those ceremonies, we asked the ranking member of the House Ways and Means Committee his reaction to Mueller's report.
I think there's a general rush to impeachment in the House. Any old excuse will do. I think it's a mistake. There was no collusion. There's nothing left of that. But I think Democrats will find by spending all their time in investigations and not enough time on the real work of the American people, infrastructure, immigration, this type of economic growth, I think the voters are frankly tired of that.
In an opinion piece the congressman wrote this morning, Brady says Democrats owe the American people an apology. Rudy?
Thanks, Brian.